Hello and welcome to your Wednesday evening weirding session. I'm your host, C. Savory, creator of Fractal Praxis. Speaking personally, these Wednesday evening weirding sessions have been a lot of energy to get out each week. There is so much I have to say, a whole body of work I've developed over the last 10-15 years that I'm finding ways to dispense in little drips weekly. And as an experimental artist through and through, I'm already inclined to shift this media a bit and take it in a new direction, story and spoken word. I am who I am today because of intensely analyzed and digested lived experiences. I have managed to revolutionize the internalized frameworks and culture that I was born into myself, into a white family in 1986. And hopefully I have influenced others as well through my solidarity economy organizing work over the years. Today, I define myself more so in terms of how I am entangled with and interbeing with and accountable to all of you, and less so by a narrative of my ego or an inner narration about myself. Today, I define my life more so in terms of ministry. That is, how am I showing up to all of my relations? More so than I am by how I might be perceived or in terms of status. These are just some fruits of a process of re-indigenizing and decolonizing. I have had many sacred connections and influences in this work and had many revelatory experiences over the years. Of course, this process is not finished, nor probably could it ever be in my lifetime. However, to traverse here to this moment has been, frankly, an epic journey. I would love to begin sharing more from my life, a topology of the major events and insights and shifts that resulted for me over the years. I have a little plan for doing so, for revealing some personal life events and stories combined with teachings for future episodes. Today, though, I'm choosing ease. I want to be kind and easy to myself. It's not easy to keep the fire of fractal praxis burning in the middle of these damned times and within my life's own financial and social and personal limitations. But it is a calling I would be remiss to avoid. So, nevertheless, I'm choosing ease today. I want to speak more from the moment, not only to the moment. Flow is really important, y'all. Flow is probably the most healing method that I've had access to and that I've cultivated across my life. Stream of consciousness writing is a practice that I began, bored out of my wits, in class at age 15. It allowed me to be in a kind of mental flow, and also it allowed me to witness myself. And there was so much going unwitnessed at that time in my life. So this simple tool saved my life and has changed my life. I have accumulated almost 40 composition notebooks full of journals over the years. And a lot of my intellectual work has come not through an academic rigor or process, but through a synthesis type process that happens when I'm in specialized mind states, body-mind states, tied to flow states. And the insights kind of come through. The statements about what is comes through in this beautiful way. Truly, some of the things that I've either written or orated, like spoken word, created over the years are some of the most exquisite, beautiful, profound content I've ever created. So I want to share more of flow style work with you as well, and today is an example of that. I'm going to be reading an unedited passage from my journal that was written roughly middle of May 2024, so this past May. This piece is about rewilding, a term that I use loosely to discuss the work of increasing or amplifying and cultivating the wild within us and around us. Within us, the wild is our innate, original intelligence and gifts that we offer the world. And it is our intuition, it is our organic intelligence that can overcome superficial influences. Outer nature, outer rewilding, of course, is about participating in the ecosystems that encompass us and stewarding them and feeding them, giving back to them through our participation. And it's so much more than that I'm not even touching on. So rewilding is tied to ideas of decolonizing and re-indigenizing, which I have lots to say on. Most of it is unpublished, and I will continue to try to get it out. This piece happened to be written during a nature immersion retreat that was led by my beloved friends and teachers, Kriti Kanko and Bianca Acosta. Kriti is being recognized lately as having expanded the meaning and context around the idea of polycrisis to include a more critical perspective on the origins of our complex intersecting problems today and locating it in some of the structural mechanisms and belief systems tied to Western civilization, tied to European and white supremacy. So today I want to dedicate this WEWS to Kriti, and I will be linking to her work below so that you can follow and engage with her incredible work. I am so indebted to the ways that Kriti serves in the world, and I am so grateful. So here's to the unedited, to the channeled, to words sourced directly from the flame of seeing as it spontaneously arises in a context of communion and flow. Before I begin, I invite us to notice our experiences, our breath, how it's moving, the sensations of the floor or ground beneath us. And to simply locate ourselves in our own experiences, in this sacred, irreproducible moment. It is a privilege and it is a necessity to rewild. As a descendant of a colonizing people and those who assimilated into it and benefited from it, I am here now in this glorious wild place because my ancestors took this place to possess it, to reap from it without giving back. And then, as if some kind of subconscious, guilty, compensatory mechanism, preserved certain lands as pristine, pure, nature, untouched, yet barring access to native people as stewards, only colonizers may access here for recreation, recreation. And yet may the wildness retained here indeed recreate us, reinvent us in the model of what is needed, what is called for, scour us down to our core, taking of sacrifices, shedding of false selves. Environments are us, so immersing here with a receptive, contemplative, relational orientation of body-mind is reconditioning us, and not a moment too soon. We colonizer-descended people bear the weight of generations of trauma internalized into numb, stuck, frozen, rigid, warped body minds and rigid cultures, capable of reciprocating trauma willfully without the burden of feeling, ethics, or empathy. Generations of this, often extending back into the oppressive society's warfare and scarcity defining the European homelands in history. Can it end with us? If so, how? A returning to relations. Inner, one's own sensations, feelings, thought processes, and survival strategies, experiences and histories dealt with awakeness as containing wisdom, grieving and remorse, a desire to rectify wrongs done by our ancestors unto other lineages and descendants, and the accordant practices of reparations. A reckoning with what's really there, buried and compressed into an insensate block under these layers of numbness and entitlement. Yes, this is what it looks like to re-relate to all of our parts and our people and our more than human community. Then we are able to re-relate to plant and fungal allies, food and medicine, to animals, to spirituality, to place, to ancestors. And we become naturally motivated to cultivate the conditions conducive to the growth of beauty, kindness, and abundance for all. We garden, we tend, we give back, and it is probably not enough. And certain hurt voices urge us to extract from ourselves more, while others, comfortable by privilege, would continue only taking, never giving. Both are broken. Whereas the practice of the gift may re-begin small, humble, painfully inadequate. But if it even begins again, the world shifts into balance slightly more. So this is why you'll see a lot of re-prefixes in this telling, as in regenerative, rewilding. Because these patterns always existed as long as life has, but they've been forgotten, in large part through being systematically suppressed. Renewal and regeneration means beginning again entering into this gifting and taking, this reciprocity cycle, and putting as many resources as possible toward amplifying this process and its stewarding culture for future beings. It is a right and it is a responsibility to rewild. No human-made superstructure, such as a government or a socioeconomic system, can give or take this right from you as a being. And yet responsibilities co-arise when you can feel anything again. Then response ability returns. The ability to respond and the duty to engage is what keeps living ecosystems self-renewing. Being requires interaction, co-constitution, aka interbeing. No one can give or take this from you either. It must arise from you feeling and processing who and what you are. It is not too late. The loss of kin is not so great, but we must act. To lose these kin would mean to lose our means for sustenance and renewal. We'll remain stuck in that insensate, non-relating, numb for the too much of the loss void. And we'll replicate that as our mirrored vision of the world and what the world is. No, come back to truth, come back to feeling, back to senses now before it's too late. The work of recognizing, reckoning, and integrating all of this might seem too great, but the alternative, massive, irreversible loss is even greater. My generation and those that follow are turning a corner, dedicating to healing trauma. So we mustn't, in our disassociated haze, condemn future beings to an even emptier inner and outer world. We must cease to mirror our trauma in the self-righteousness of, well, it was done to me once. Let's mirror our aliveness to each other instead. It is a responsibility and a privilege to rewild, to return to right relations, and thus to giving and receiving in abundance. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, for witnessing this WEWS. Now is the time in our ritual where we pass the proverbial basket. If you would like to support the work of Fractal Praxis, please make a donation using the link below or consider becoming a Fractal Praxis member. In closing, I wish you farewell. Till next time, merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again.